We're going live because we're changing this conversation right now. We'll have the intervention when we're done. Hi, my name is Kara Brown. I am doing a pop-up today because I need to write a newsletter, and I actually had some newsletter, words are hard, data that I wanted to share with you guys for a survey that I took. As you can see, I am followed by some very wonderful people who have their own newsletters, and I also have an SEO person who might be able to chime in with her expertise down below too. Ooh. So we'll go ahead and start with Tamara, who was ribbing me earlier, to go ahead and introduce herself. So please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tamara Woods. I'm a cozy mystery author. I have a newsletter that I put out, generally speaking, on once a month. If something of interest pops up, like let's say I have released a new book or something like that, then I might do an extra one. And I'm going to be working on that newsletter today while we're doing our sprints and stuff. So that's pretty exciting. That's it.
All right, cool. Dana.
I am Dana Gollin. I write, adult stuff, and I also have a monthly newsletter that I am terrible at. So hopefully I will learn something new today.
All right, and Amy, would you like to go?
I am Amy Awesome Buddy. I am an SEO consultant who's more than happy to lend her expertise if anybody has any questions. And I was kind of working on admin stuff when we were just over on Dana's. So even though I don't have a newsletter, I'm still doing admin. So I feel good about it.
Hey.
So we are going to have a couple of sprints here where we actually do work a little bit on the newsletter. But because this is supposed to be like, what is a newsletter? How does it work? Blah, blah, blah. Can you guys take a guess about what I'm about to do?
Are you going to show us a spreadsheet?
Oh, man. I should have made one of those too. No.
I was going to say screen share. Screen share.
Yeah. I made a slideshow, guys.
Now, will you be making this a public slideshow so that we can reference it in the future, or no?
No, this video is the slideshow at this point.
Okay.
So I just, because again, this is supposed to be a slightly educational live stream, along with actually being able to be productive about it. So one of the interesting, I made this in Tamara's stream.
Oh, okay. I was like,
that's what I was furiously doing in her stream.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Kara did a slideshow for it.
That is so awesome. All right, no more interruptions from the mouth.
Okay, so I know a couple of individuals who are new here. Actually, if you guys could do me a favor so I could just do a quick informal survey. If you could, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not at all and 5 being very comfortable, just tell me what your comfort level is when it comes to actually working with newsletters. And then I will reference that back here a little bit because I don't want to tell you guys stuff that you already know. That's kind of the point. But so let's ask ourselves the questions like, are newsletters worth it? A lot of individuals are kind of on the fence about newsletters because some people see that they're outdated and they're not sure if people are going to want to give up their valuable email space, because a lot of us, aren't always wanting to get spam in our email, right? We used to have that problem with the mailbox. Now we have it with our email stuff. So are they worth it? The answer is kind of, it depends. One of the nice things about having a newsletter is that the newsletter gives you a direct line of communication with your readership, which is really good. If you're in a situation where you're working with somebody like, let's take Tamara and I, for example. This will never happen, but let's say that Tamara and I, on our podcast, at some point, we have like a myth, or we just kind of like have to like take a break from each other for a little bit. And I don't have any way to tell my readership that we're taking, it's not happening. Stop making that face. And we don't really have any way to like, I wouldn't have any way to directly tell my readership that, except if I have like the newsletter, right? So that's what a newsletter is good for. It's direct communication with your fan base and wanting to work with them and talk with them and all that other stuff. Now, the question is, what are you going to do to make it worth them giving up their email to you? That's always a really important thing to ask. So why do people sign up for newsletters, right? So in the survey that I did and the responses that I got, what I found out is that individuals who responded to the survey, they basically want to be able to connect to the author, right? They want like a personal experience of some sort of knowing what the author's doing, how they're doing, kind of having like that insider scoop. They also want to know the behind the scenes info. They want to know what you're doing with your book, how's your progress going with your book, and all that stuff. And some of them want free content. I don't know about you guys. I have on more than one occasion signed up for a newsletter so that way I can get access to like a free presentation, maybe some slides, all the other stuff. So I literally have an email account just for doing that. It's a true story. I'm admitting it. Now, there were some other individuals when they respond to the survey that I conducted basically said that they do sign up for some giveaways. They want access to the law content. And some of them do sign to get like educational material if they are writers, but that really kind of depends on your brand and what you're trying to push. If you're like Derek Murphy, who is all about doing educational stuff for writers and authors and promoting, then that makes a lot of sense for him because that's what his brand is. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for me because while I do give educational stuff, that's not really kind of what I'm aiming for, if that makes sense. So let's take a look and gauge the feel of the room here. So I got a couple of ones, some twos, one person who's got a 5. Congrats. You definitely got that down. Sky's feeling a 5-ish. Very nice. Stevie's a 3-ish. Shannon's a 4 to 5, depending on the day. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, so let's see what the next slide is. I think I have a practice thing for her. All right, so a practice that I would like to do, if you guys are willing, is that when you're writing these newsletters, it's really important that you, as your voice comes out, if you were kind of listening to the writer's workshop that we did on Saturday with Tamara, we reviewed a book called On Writing Well. And one of the things that the author said is that it's very important that your voice comes through in your writing because you are a person and people are here to talk to you, right? So the practice that I would like to do for this sprint is I want you guys to think about an intro to your newsletter for this coming month and write it in a way that's got your voice in it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes? Maybe? No?
Yeah, just take a swing at writing an intro for a newsletter.
Yeah. All right, cool. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a timer. And I'm thinking 15 minutes. That should be good for us to brainstorm, think about what we want to write, and then maybe write a couple of sentences. So if I could get this timer to stop, though, that would be great. So we're going to exit that. I'm going to pull this one over. And then I'm going to pull that over because that's the screen I'm going to write on. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and start this in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, perfect. I managed to write my intro and then some other stuff as well. I got about, I got some good words in there. How about you guys?
I got some words and then I got distracted.
I got some words and then I got distracted, and I'm really hoping that they're good words because, you know, it's sunshine and lollipops over here in Dana land. Hello.
Y'all are crazy.
Hi, Oink. Oink was like scratching at the door. She was not gonna miss another live stream. I couldn't help it.
No, she's gotta have her face on the screen.
Yeah.
So when you guys write your intros, like, how long do you? For you, like, what do you guys do for your intros for your newsletters?
Mine honestly sounds more like the opening to like a nice cozy family letter type thing. I'm like, hey readers, how are you? I hope you're finding everybody happy and well, and then I'll kind of give like a summary of what's inside, but not go into too much depth. Like, this month we're gonna try a couple new recipes and tell you the story of what happened in our lives, and here's some free stuff at the end, but you got to go to the end to get it.
You're just like, skip, go ahead and skip.
Well, yeah, because I mean, no, I don't want them to skip, but I'm like, I'm pretty much like, here's what I have in here. If you want it, you can go get it. If not, I don't want to, because I don't want to waste their time. I hate saying that. It sounds terrible.
Well, I think that what you're saying is that you want to give them something valuable that they'll enjoy and that they can get something out of.
Right.
And I think that's important because, we all only have so much time. So if someone's going to invest their time in you and your work, whether it's your newsletter, your YouTube video, or your actual physical book, then you want to give them something that they can enjoy potentially,
right.
Hopefully. With my newsletter, I basically do the same, but my voice isn't like the family kind of voice. I kind of sound like a little jokey, like I do.
Right.
So it's like, aloha, has the coronas got you down? And right. From there, because that's how I sound.
Right.
And I want, when people read my newsletter, I want them to read it and to hear it in my actual voice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Amy, when you read a newsletter, what are you looking for? You're a reader, right? Of course you are.
Yeah. When I do newsletters, I subscribe to a lot of newsletters. So my thing is, whatever you use in your subject line that got my attention enough for me to click it, I really want that to be like the first thing. Because I'm one of those people where, if you make me scroll too far down the newsletter to find whatever it was that I found interesting, I might just scroll to the bottom and go to the next email. So personally, I like it when they, whatever your punchline is for your subject line, go ahead and give me that up front, because that's what I'm here for. You got me with that subject line. Now I want to know what you actually have to say about it. And that's Amy, not Amy SEO speaking.
Right. Yeah, that's totally fine, because if you put something in there, then it needs to kind of be in there. So with that said, Tamara actually was thinking ahead about talking about what to put in newsletters and make it worthwhile. So way to think ahead, Tamara. Look at you go.
I was always a great student. Thank you.
No, my internet's about to go out.
No, it's not allowed. You have to stay, Amy. Tell them no.
I'm going to cross my fingers and hope it works, but it's not gonna. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. I'm in teacher mode, so just interrupt me at any time. So I guess one of the questions that a lot of people ask when they're trying to figure out what to put in their newsletters, what do I actually put in it, right? And you really just want to put stuff in there that you want to put in there, I guess, if that makes any sense. One of the things that I got from the survey is that people were saying that they want the behind the scenes look, right? They want to know what you're doing. So they're going to want to know about your works in progress. They're going to see sneak peeks of your cover if you've got it. If you've got a cover in progress, they want to see that too, even if it's not finished. If you have some other projects that are going on, like maybe a podcast called Authortube News that you do with Tamara Woods once every 2 weeks, then maybe you want to put that in there too and let people know that that's a thing. Otherwise, they're not going to find it, right?
Right.
So let them know about your other projects. Don't be shy about keeping your folks informed about what it is that you're doing. And then whatever you're willing to kind of share about your life, you can put that in there too. Now, I'm not telling you to like go and do like a vlog just for them unless that's something that you want to do. But if there are things that you are okay with sharing, like if you want to tell them about like your TBR that you're going through, if you want to talk about like your pets, or maybe you want to talk about products that you like. I'm mentioning those things because that's what I put in my newsletter. And sometimes people like it and sometimes people are like, but that's just something that you can do. I like pictures. I like to make pictures like this. Surprise, right? And so I like to put them in the newsletter as well. Now, I'm going to show you how I used to do my newsletters. It's something that I want to try in this new one, and we'll see if it works. But here's the last newsletter that I did. If you can kind of see it, I might have to make the screen bigger. Hold on.
There you go. My granny eyes said thank you.
Okay, I'm here for you. So one of the first pictures that I have on here is actually my header. And I went into Canva and I made a header for every month of the newsletter. So I made sure that it basically had whatever theme that month is. It kind of shows that it's personal, it's different from the other ones, all that stuff. So unlike Dana, who puts her free stuff at the bottom, I just put it at the top because I'm not even going to pretend. If you came for free stuff, there it is. Take your free stuff. Have a nice day. I hope you read the rest of the newsletter, right? That's how I do that. And then what I'm going to change is as I progress, I actually, like right here where it says author update, I want to actually change that text and put in an image instead. That's what I want to do. But I do like an author update, and because I have 2 pen names with lots of projects under both of them, I'll do one for Carol Brown, and then I will do one for Faye Black. Just checking. So that's something that I do. Now, it kind of depends on what server or what provider that you're using for your newsletter, about how image heavy that you can get. But the 2 that I have tried are pretty flexible and kind of let you do whatever you want with them. So you can do that. You can change the size. The one thing that I do like is where you can actually like input, like, remember we were talking about the podcast earlier? This provider actually lets me put the episode in there so people don't have to go look for it. They can just kind of click on it and it'll play right here. But I always have to put this thing right here that basically says you have to click on it because somebody was like, your picture is broken. I was like, no, it's not broken. It's a video. You have to play it.
Oh, honey.
Yeah. So
they're just trying to be helpful.
Oh no, they are. I it's because they told me that feedback. I was like, that's why I have like the little thing on the bottom that says you have to click on it to play. So like I said, I am really big about the picture thing. One thing that I would really encourage a lot of individuals when they are working with their newsletter is to have engagement, right? If you've been here for any time, what do I always talk about? I'm always talking about engagement. And engagement with your newsletter is going to look like you asking like some simple questions. So for example, in my intro that I wrote, one of the things I said is that I'm getting to the point where I'm really lusting after some boba tea from the place I normally go to down the street. That will be my first stop when I'm able to go outside. How about you? Right? So you're kind of making an inquiry to them. You want them to think a little bit, and that's the kind of engagement that you want. And I could probably dive into that a lot more, but probably what you want to do is you might want to go check out this book over here. It's called Newsletter Ninja, and it's about how to do an author mailing list. And what's really nice is that this is geared just for authors, which is really awesome. And the other awesome thing, and I feel like I'm just plugging Tamara constantly, is Tamara did a panel for this book and for a writer's workshop. And if you want to hear what their thoughts on that are, I'm going to go ahead and just throw that link in the chat real quick, and you can go and peruse it at your leisure later.
Aww.
Yeah. I'm here for you. I'm here. So I want to take a quick break because I know I'm talking a lot, And I just want to gauge, like, if you have any questions up until this point, if it comes to what to put in there, or kind of how to write it in general. That's where we are so far. I'm gonna wait a moment.
My newsletter is shorter than yours. So instead of going through all the different projects that I'm working on, I like to focus on one or two things. So it'll be more like, so on my sidebar, I'll have, let's say that cover of Newsletter Ninja, if that was like a book I was writing, and I would give an update on, I'm at the editing process, or I'm still drafting, or whatever. So I'll give an update on a couple of the books that I'm working on, because I'm always working on more than one thing, because I'm a fucking idiot. And then I'll have like, my setup is I'll have like the kind of story time at the beginning, and then I'll share one video, because since it comes out on a monthly basis, there's usually like several that I could share. So I'll just share one, and then I'll share like the latest episode of the podcast. And if there's a new freebie or something like that, then I share it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I end up doing newsletter swaps. There's a name for it that I can't think of it right now, so forgive me, where there will be, let's say, like 15 cozy mystery authors will be involved in this thing. And if you share like the header and the link, then your subscribers can go and get potentially like 15 books from different authors and it'll be like a price from like, free to 99 cents or something. So it's all these people sharing their newsletter magnets to try to get more people to sign up. So if that happens, then I'll like have that as the freebie for the month or something. Okay.
Right on. That's cool.
What about you, Dana?
Oh, I struggle. I like to keep mine short and sweet. Like, I don't think I add nearly as much stuff as you do. I usually keep mine short and sweet. I'll do what we're doing. I'll usually add like a recipe that I've tried, because I notice a lot of people like my cooking videos and what I'm eating, which is really cool. And then I'll just give them like an update on the products that I'm using, especially like writing products. Like if I find a pen that is really smooth or whatever the case may be, and I'll actually link. So if I have a product that I really like and I think that it'll benefit other people, I'll have like the link in there. But other than that, I really struggle with what to put in there, because I worry people are going to get bored with what I have to say. Because if anybody's going to doubt me, it's going to be me myself. So
yeah, I feel like you're undervaluing what you have to offer. Because here's the thing. If they weren't interested in what you had to say, if they weren't interested in what you had to offer, then they wouldn't have signed up for it.
Right. And I just, like, I need to get a poster of, like, you and Carol saying that, and I need to put it right here in my window, so when I look up at my hummingbirds, there you guys are. Like, stop undervaluing.
It's going to be a judgmental look. You're going to be like, you're not going to be valuing yourself, and there we are with our judgment looks going like girlfriends. Yeah,
because I have like all these wonderful ideas, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to bore people, and I don't want to bog them down, and then I'm like, because I want to give away free stuff. Like, I'm always writing little tidbits of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I could totally give this away as like a thanks for subscribing. Here's a free, like, first chapter or whatever. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know, and that's what I need to stop doing.
So, because you guys have both pointed out that I have a very lengthy newsletter, and so the reason that I have a lengthy newsletter is because my family actually is subscribed to my newsletter as well. So part of the reason I make it longer is because I'm trying to like include them into the things that I'm doing as well. That's probably why I do it. But
your newsletters are they're informative. Like, I enjoy reading your newsletters. I am subscribed to some newsletters that I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, you open it up and there's so much information that you're just kind of like, I'll come back to this later. Yours isn't like that. Yours is like, I got a lot to say, and here it is, and here's some pictures, and so I really like yours. And I don't mean that it's like lengthy as in it's bogged down. It's just you have a lot of information in there, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So I'm like, I need to be more like Caro.
You need to be more like you.
Right.
Sia says you can have a pup date section with Oink updates.
Yeah.
That's a cute idea.
You should
Yeah.
That's a cute idea. And you would
So-
be able to like use a photo that you take, you know, like I know you take a bunch of photos of Oink. So you could like take your favorite of the month and like talk about an Oink thing.
Yeah.
Sia was asking a good question. Do you prefer link-heavy newsletters, UX-wise, or text-heavy ones, SEO-wise? So, for me, I guess that depends on the provider. One of the things is that when you have your provider, one of the things that they'll do is they'll tell you how many people open it, and then they'll tell you how many people click on your links, but they won't tell you what links they clicked on. So that's usually the problem that I have. So let's say, for example, like I have a newsletter that came out and I have a pre-order out and I just want to know how many pre-orders I got from the newsletter, right?
Yeah.
But if I have like, you know, my Caro buys at the bottom, because I do product stuff where I'm like, hey, I bought this, maybe you guys will like it too, kind of thing. If I have those links down on the bottom, the provider can't tell the difference between those two links when it says, oh yeah, you had 40 people click on the links, and I'm like, which links? Tell me. And they're like, oh, they clicked on links. Like that really, you're horrible.
Yeah.
That right there, SEO speaking, is a reason why a lot of people who sell things in their newsletters create landing pages specifically for the traffic from the newsletter. That way, when they click that link, it will direct them to a landing page specifically on your site, and you will know exactly how many people clicked that link, because that's the only way that they can get to this particular page.
Mm-hmm.
So that's direct traffic. That's one of the functions of a landing page.
Yeah.
That's like I
highly
put
recommend it if you're selling something on your newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when I put links, I like having the links. So like if you have a picture of the planner that you're using and you think it's a totally awesome planner and it's in your newsletter, that's how awesome it is, and there's a link to it, I am 100% going to click on that link and go check out what the planner is. So when I do like products or my books or any of that stuff, I always make sure that there's a link in it that they can click to, and most of the time it'll take them to my website, and then there'll be like a little description of what it is, and then they can click there and it'll take them to where they can purchase it at.
Yeah.
So, or like my review or whatever the case is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like
That's so interesting. I haven't
links.
added any products to any of my newsletters, so I'm now like, should I try that out? See if like, you know, anyone's interested.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people also take newsletters as an opportunity if you're just like an Amazon affiliate, because you can pick what some of the products are that come up in your advertisement. So you could have a post, you know, talk about your journal haul or whatever, you know, whatever you talked about that you bought, and then you can add a like affiliate shopping bar. I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, but you know, it's like an advertisement basically. And you do have to disclose that you're an affiliate, but I've seen most people do it really casually, and it's really cool. You know, just be straightforward about it. I loved it. I think it's awesome. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you're interested, here's a link, and you know, you'll help me out, and you'll get this awesome new planner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So there's two things that I saw in the comments that I wanted to point out. So BC Brown's workaround for my link debacle is actually to use Bitly, which is good because it will tell you, you know, who clicked on it, when they clicked on it, and it will even give you demographics about where they are and if they have all the other extra stuff. One thing Stevie pointed out, and it's actually in Newsletter Ninja, I keep pointing the wrong way, is that my taste in what I read in an email is not the same as my readers, which is really important because when you write your newsletter, don't write it for you, write it for them. So, because that was a hard lesson that took me like 3 newsletters to figure out. And I even had people that would reach out to me, and say, it's like, I'd like to know more about this in your newsletters and like to know more about that. And my first thought when I had heard that, I was like, who in the world is going to be interested in that stuff? And I was like, oh, you all are interested in that stuff. I guess I should include it now.
Right.
Yeah. So find out what your readership wants, and then just give it to them in the newsletter. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haley has a question.
Okay, here you go. How do you guys decide it was time to start a newsletter? I didn't get to decide. My publisher told me to make one.
I created, well, I had someone create my website for me, and they basically said, here's your website, here's your newsletter. And I was like, what? And so I was very intimidated by it because I wasn't prepared to start a newsletter. And then I did participate in the Newsletter Ninja Writers Workshop, and I was like, okay, now I understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's so good to hear. It makes me happy. I started my newsletter when I realized why people had newsletters. So, which sounds really silly, but I'd signed up for newsletters before, but I hadn't really recognized what kind of a marketing tool it was and how it could be a really good way for me to reach my audience, because I was very focused on just using social media. But the thing about social media is, remember Friendster? Remember MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
Like, their footprints are not permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I don't want to build up this audience and, get really used to just talking to them on like Twitter, which, you guys know I love Twitter. Mm-hmm. So I'm just talking to them on Twitter, and then something happens and, Twitter changes the algorithm so people aren't able to see me as often, or for whatever reason, Twitter shuts down, or Twitter decides to close my account for whatever reason, there's no control there. So once I realized, one, this is why people do newsletters, and two, if I have a newsletter, then I have the control. That's when I was like, okay, it's time to do this.
Yeah, and you want to be in charge of your newsletter list as well, because the debacle that I ran into is that my publisher was managing my newsletter thing. And so when I left them, they wouldn't give me my newsletter list. They didn't give it to me. And I asked 3 times and they still wouldn't give it to me. So I had to go the route of social media and basically call them out on Twitter until they finally sent it to me, which I don't recommend doing.
Wow.
Yeah, like this was, I got stories, y'all.
Yeah, but you were in a position where you had gone through all of the proper channels and you were being polite and they were being not polite. And so you finally said, okay, you want to do swords? Let's do swords.
Yeah, no, I did go through all the steps. I didn't go just straight to Twitter. I was like, hey, I sent you like 4 emails asking for my mailing list. Are you going to respond to me today? Like, crickets. I'm like, okay, on to Twitter we go. So yeah. Don't recommend it. But if you're going to start a news list or newsletter, you start it, you control it. Don't give it to anybody. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do a practice. So we talked a lot just now about what we put in newsletters and all that stuff. So why don't we just, if you haven't done it before, take a moment to consider the layout of what you want it to look like. I kind of showed you mine a little bit where, I've got way too much stuff on here, I know, but I've got like my header, I've got free stuff right here, sneak peeks, all that kind of stuff. So figure out, and you can do it on a piece of paper, you can do it on a doc, however you want to do it, but figure out kind of like what order do you want stuff in your newsletter to go. And then once you do that, just start kind of filling those spaces in. So we're going to go ahead and start on that. And I'm thinking another 15 minutes sounds good. How about you guys?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Because I did say we were going to do newsletter stuff today. All right, so we're going to start this in 3, 2, 1, go. don't like the noise that timer makes. Anyway, so that's time. Haley, I did see your question. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen while we quickly reconvene. Hold on. Ugh. Where are you? Okay. How did you guys do with your newsletter?
Bum, 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 bum. I think the biggest downside is probably upkeep.
Yeah.
You got to do it. So it's like, an extra added thing that you have to take care of. So, and trying to find new readers. But that's like, the problem for all of it, trying to find new readers anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have like watched any of our streams. At any point somebody says the word newsletter and we all have pretty much the same reaction, like, oh, I gotta write that. It's that time.
Yeah, that's true.
That's literally what started this entire stream. It was like, why don't we just all do it together? Okay, well, I'll just make a stream and we'll all sit and we'll write the thing. And
they're like, fine.
Yeah, so that's the I think the other downside to the newsletter is that because of the way that the mail provider, like, Hotmail and Gmail, they keep changing. So every now and then your newsletter doesn't go to the same place. So if one time it's not very link heavy or you don't have a lot of products in there, it goes into like the primary inbox. But if you've got stuff that you're trying to sell, it goes into products and sales and all this other stuff. So when you tell people like, hey, my newsletter is out, they're all like, well, I can't find it. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? I don't know where it went.
Yeah, that's very true. That's like a irritant.
Yeah, that's
why you see so many people make a big deal when they're like, sign up for my newsletter and make sure to mark me as not spam.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from.
Are you muted, Dana?
Yeah, I was. I know. I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? I'm like right in the middle of something. And I was like, oh, that's what you get for not paying attention, dumbass. No. But yes, I was saying exactly what Amy had just said, is that in my newsletter, it's like you sign up and then it's like, hey, make sure you add me to your contact list. Otherwise, I'm going to end up in your junk box and you'll never see all the awesome stuff that I have.
Yeah. So, and that kind of brings us to, well, you know what? Let me see if I can. Okay, so that actually brings us to a fun point. So, again, I'm going back to the survey. When I was trying to figure out like the best way to like let people know that the newsletter was out, the survey results. Okay, so just to be clear, these results kind of are based off of like where these people found the survey. So obviously, if I put the survey on Twitter, more people are going to say like, I need to know about this on Twitter. If I put it on Instagram, more people are going to say it's on Instagram. So it looks like here that more people want to know about it on Instagram, followed by Twitter, followed by Facebook, followed by YouTube, which if you consider where I was promoting this at, is kind of where more of my audience was. So these numbers are a little skewed. I'm going to go ahead and come out with that. But the one thing that I think is a good takeaway is that when you have your newsletter and it's out, these are the big places to basically say, yo, it's out. Go find it, please.
Right.
I got stuff in there for you.
And you can do the legwork to figure out where your audience is,
Right.
so that you can promote it more at like those specific areas. It's like for me, Instagram is not going to be number one.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Like I think we kind of hit on this the other day by accident. If you don't tell me that something needs to be done, I'm gonna, because I have so much going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it later, and later never comes. It's like, oh yeah, it's the first of the month and so-and-so's newsletter should be available. I'll check it out later. And it goes into the pile, and 6 months later, it's like, hey, did you get that newsletter? And I'm like, maybe, probably, I don't know. And so we were discussing about how when you posted your poll, you said, hey, it's available, it's here, go to it now. So once your newsletter is published, it's important to let people know that it's done by doing this, because if you don't tell people it's available, then they just kind of gloss over it. You know what I'm saying? Seemed like a long train to get on to go somewhere.
But you got there.
Mm-hmm.
You got there.
Yeah, just make sure you're telling people that your stuff is available and where to find it when it is like available.
So I'm just kind of quickly going through the comments here. Okay. Yeah, whenever. Okay, so Tamara has a great idea, and I want her to have that moment. So let me know when you're ready, and then I can take this down. But while you do that, I think we could have a fun conversation about. Let's see if I can. Nope, no, we're not done. Listen to me, Slides. We're not done. I want to talk about giveaways because I've had mixed results on giveaways. For the first 6 months of my newsletter, I was trying to do a giveaway. And I found that the people who signed up for my newsletter for the giveaway unsubbed after they didn't win, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, because I see some people are able to do it and it works really well for them, but like other people, it doesn't. So I've got mixed thoughts on it. But some of the questions, I guess, if you want to do this yourselves that I have here on the screen are, one, can you afford it? And by afford it, you have to get the items. And then do you have to actually physically ship them? Because that's going to cost you. And then something to consider is what is it that your newsletter readers want? And then also, if people are only coming to your newsletter for free stuff, are those the kind of readers that you want? Like,
I think to that last question, it depends on what it is that you're giving away.
mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people they try to give away like items, like a journal, you know. But if you're not a reviewer of journals, somebody might sign up for that newsletter. But if you give away a copy of the newsletter Ninja book because you're part of the panel talking about it and all that stuff, the people who would sign up for it to get that item are more likely to be closer to your actual audience. You know, like journals are generic. Newsletter is much more focused on someone who's working platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to find the thing and I can't find it.
Okay.
But I find that I don't do a lot of giveaways necessarily. I would probably, if I did, like sometimes I'll do giveaways like on my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that in terms of using a newsletter or like a giveaway to get people to sign up for my newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of tend to stay away from that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like
Words.
I don't do giveaways in my newsletter because I'm already giving you something for free for reading it or subscribing to it. I save giveaways for like when I want to celebrate 500 subscribers or I want to celebrate my book coming out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that I'm going to get this huge influx of subscribers because they want whatever that free giveaway product is, and then they're going to unsub the moment that either one, they didn't win, or they did win and they got their product and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm. So CEO has a great question. What do you think of newsletters that read like an Amazon listing page or an infomercial transcript? No personal sound bites, only sales promotions. If that's what I know I signed up for, then I'm not going to be too surprised. But let's say I signed up for like maybe Amy one day will have, you know, a newsletter and a YouTube channel and maybe a website. I don't know. But let's say Amy has.
Nobody knows.
Let's say Amy has a newsletter, and originally it sounds pretty informal. It sounds like she's talking to me, and then over the course of time, that narrative changes, and she starts to sound more like the infomercial that you're talking about. If I didn't know Amy the way that I do, I would probably I'd probably unsub because I came to have a connection with Amy, not to be like constantly sold stuff. And on the topic of always being sold stuff, I don't think we really talked about it, but one of the important things when it comes to newsletters is that they come out on a regular basis at some time in the month. I forgot to put that in here, but everybody said that they were pretty big on having newsletters only come out once a month. Only like 2 crazy people said like twice a week, but they caveated that with, it's like, if you come out with twice a week though, I want free content. And I was like, that is a lot of free content to give. I don't
Yeah,
have.
that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So
I only put the links. I only put links in my newsletter for things that, one, I use myself and I absolutely love, or to my books that I'm, obviously if you're reading my newsletter, you're interested in the books that I'm writing and things like that. If I put out a newsletter that read like the Amazon Christmas catalog, people would be like, okay, she's either, somebody wrote this for her or she's lost her freaking mind. You know what I mean? Because this is where I connect as a human being to my readers. I'm not out to like, I'm not Amazon. I don't want to.
what about you, Amy?
I agree with exactly what you said. If it's a newsletter that I am expecting to be selling or pushing goods or services, I'm expecting a concentration of information, then I don't mind it at all. But if I am subscribed to a person and I am expecting to see them in the newsletter somehow, it's a huge turnoff. If you are presenting what I'm thinking is supposed to be you like updating these people who are actually concerned as just a sales pitch, it's a turnoff when I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, so always come out regularly. Don't always come out with the newsletter when you're trying to sell something, and still keep it personal. I guess that's what we all want. So I'm going to give the reins over to Tamara real quick because she wanted to share something pretty cool with you guys.
Well, I've been thinking about potentially changing the layout of my newsletter, and I was wanting to know what y'all thought of it. So this is generally what my newsletter tends to look like. So I have this header here that Caro actually created for me, and then we go down. There's usually some type of graphic. I'll have my sometimes I have my social media stuff here, or sometimes it's swapped with these things, with the current stuff that I'm working on. And then we go into whatever the story is. Like this one, I was talking about how I'm trying to be to realize that I'm enough, and because I always feel like I'm not doing enough. That's a whole new thing. Not really. And then here I was talking about being a part of Women in Publishing Summit. And then we have the podcast, and then Patreon. And then there's a link for my Riot Readers group if people wanted to subscribe to it. But I was wondering, what did you guys think about this layout? Do you think I should add more to it? Do you think there's anything I should take away? Do you think I need more graphics? What are y'all's opinions? I don't know how to stop scrolling.
I think because you're in Hawaii and your stories are based on Hawaii, maybe a picture of something Hawaii related would be really cool.
But my stories aren't based on Hawaii. I have one series that's based on Hawaii and the other one's based in West Virginia.
Oh, well, that was my first thought.
Sometimes I do like if I actually go and do something, then
Right.
I'll like take pictures of stuff and share it. But in this particular one, I was just talking about I think I was just really focusing on women in publishing thing.
Well, I mean, your header stays the same. That stays the same for every month, right?
Yeah.
So what's in the body of the newsletter, that changes based on what you're writing in it, right? Like mine, if I don't need a picture for whatever I'm writing for, I don't add a picture. But if I'm showing you how to make Polish donuts, I'm gonna put a picture in there. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's great the way that it is, and just change it so that it's natural. Like does that make sense? I like it.
That's an interesting point. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I think that the double column it'll tack itself at the bottom.
That Sky totally called out what I was about to say. far as the layout goes, you have to remember that most people check all these kinds of things on their phone. Like even I, as an SEO, all these newsletters and stuff, they go to an email that I have on a tablet. I don't do this on my laptop or my desktop.
Mhm.
And so you do have to remember that mobile friendly layouts is your primary thing, because I'm guessing most emails that I see that look like that, everything you have on the right just gets tacked on at the bottom. But
Mm-hmm.
some of the ones with that are not what's it called? It's not mobile friendly, a responsive design or something like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll stick the stuff on the right in between paragraphs or between like a picture and its caption. So one vertical up and down email is just a safer layout rather than having columns of stuff on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And a good way to do that is to remember, everybody wants those visuals to kind of break up the text and all that stuff. Just try your hand at making some of those like skinny rectangular visuals. Maybe like Kara made the suggestion that you're in Hawaii and people know that. And because there's a lot of curiosity about it and everybody loves it, like a skinny picture just to break up the sections of some Hawaiian greenery or a beach, or, a smiling picture of you at the beach, just something to put there to break up all the text. But if you don't know and you're just setting up your layout, just try to stack things just
Yeah.
straight up and down. Don't worry about side columns. And you can use small pictures to kind of break up, because it's going to feel like you're just flooding somebody with text. You can use little images like that to help break it up.
Yeah, the nice thing about Privy is that it will show me what it looks like on a computer, a tablet, and a cell phone. So I always go through all of those before I send it out, just in case something looks completely whacked. Also, people want links to your newsletters. Just saying.
I probably won't be adding anything about Hawaii though, because I'm literally not leaving the house. So I appreciate that feedback and I'll make a note of it, but that's not going to happen until like
you can go outside.
I can go
Understandable.
outside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just making myself sad. This is what I used to look at.
Just a thought. Just a thought.
Yeah, but I will definitely make a note of that. It's like, what's that? Maybe develop a few content related icons that represent your works, but still have a similar theme to the top of the page. That's an interesting idea. I don't know how that would look. I need examples.
Let's see. Sky says, mine does a lot of double columns stacked over the other to overlap each other rather than doing anything Amy mentioned. Well, at least she owns it. Good job.
All right, so.
Amy, or not, sorry. Why did I say Amy? Ava. Ava says a glimpse from home can be Hawaii or just your workspace, a personal section. So kind of like your workplace area, or maybe what your whiteboard looks like today.
Never that. My whiteboard's a mess. No one needs to see that. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this screen.
Okay.
But thanks for your feedback, y'all.
Did you want to mention the other thing that you had in here?
So I don't know if you all are aware, but the Naked Firefly has a podcast, and I'll actually be sharing this link in my newsletter, but I'm going to share it with you right now in the comments. She interviewed me, and it's very exciting, and it just launched today. I haven't listened to it yet. So after we're done here, I'm going to listen to it. And I would invite all of y'all to check her out. So, yes. The cartoon image of Tamara, maybe a few different styles, a few smaller versions that reflect her content. Interesting.
Sounds like images. All right, so I had a fun, debatable topic. And I say fun with like quotation marks. Because I've seen a couple authors do this, and I think it can work, but I thought it would just be something that we could kind of discuss in general and see what everybody's thoughts on it are, including the folks in the comment section as well. So the debatable idea is sharing your newsletter content on your website later. I had this question in the survey, and this was probably the one where it was like the most teeter-totter results that I could see. So some folks were like, yes, share the newsletter content, but do it later and only have limited information. Some people were like, heck no, this is our newsletter. We're special snowflakes. Only we get to see this content. And other people were like, meh. So I thought it could be something fun to talk about. And my general thought is that if I did, for some reason, decide to like post this on my website, which would keep it refreshed for the Google Analytics, right, Amy?
Yes.
Yes. Is that
I'm glad you mentioned this.
Yes, I'm here. I was thinking about you when I was looking at this. Is that if I did share it, it would have to be with the stuff that people could generically, like, publicly find on their own. I would just be saving them some of the leg room, and I would like not be sharing some things like behind the scenes, like cover reveals and stuff like that. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Everything that's in my website or everything that's in my newsletter can also be found on my website. And typically if I put like, here's the blog that I've been working on this month, I'll have the picture of the blog and then a brief summary of what's in it. And then if they want to continue reading the entire thing, they can click on the link and go over to my website. Because people aren't checking my website every day for updates. So I use my newsletter as kind of like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's a little update. If you want to read the whole thing, you can go on over to my website and get the step-by-step directions.
And I generally, I try to not include a lot of the stuff for my website in my newsletter. So I want my newsletter to be kind of porn. I was like, what? Sorry.
Attention grabbing.
Well, I want it to be like exclusive content that you won't necessarily find other places.
Yeah, but I have a members only section on my website that they can kind of get that. You know what I mean?
But I don't have that.
Right. So that's why
I'm just saying this is what I do. Not that you should do what I do.
No. I think it's really interesting that we're.
Anyway, I just thought was a fun point. What's the SEO's thoughts on it?
I am, as an SEO pro, posting your newsletters about whenever you post your new one, post your old one on your website. It gives you fresh content on your site to build your theme, because you will be talking about things that interest you that are appear in other areas on your website. As an SEO, the newsletter is a marketing tool. These newsletters are not indexed, so they're person-to-person correspondence. So it's not that it's a waste of resources, not that at all, because the connecting with your audience is very important. Mm-hmm. But if you take the time to actually build a newsletter that basically updates your audience to your brand. Are you, moving through stages in your self-publishing journey? Are you trying out the bullet journal system and you go through 20 journals? Are you, Tamara has several things that happen every month or so. The newsletter books and she has weekly chats with her #WriteStuff. Podcasts now is Caro and Tamara. Both of them could mention those things in their newsletters. So your newsletter is basically a function of like an overall update for your brand, and you get the bonus of engaging your audience back and forth. So if you take the time to put resources and promo yourself and do things like cover reveal and those sort of things, and you put them all in your newsletter, that's a lot of work that you've done that goes directly to your audience that will benefit your website and therefore benefit your link and your theme across your website /branding. And as an SEO, if you don't archive it and put it on your site, it can be a missed opportunity. I mean, of course, there are going to be things like you're not going to continue to post the free links every time, that kind of stuff. There will be tidbits that stay in the newsletter that don't go when you convert it to a post on your website. But I am absolutely pro converting your newsletter to a post once a month, especially if you put in the time to have a variety of resources. It's just taking your work and letting it keep working long term on your website.
I'm down for this. Let's see. So there was one question, because that was pretty much it. We're done. Ta-da! So I wanted to get some questions. If you guys have any, feel free to go ahead and share them. Haley already had one, which is there such a thing as too soon to start a newsletter? I'm going to say no. Just start making one.
Yeah, definitely not, because there's so much, especially in writing communities like this. Everybody's at totally different stages in their writing journey, and they can connect with you knowing that, yeah, I might be a year into my writing journey and you're only a month, but I remember being only a month in. And if I like you, I'm still going to enjoy hearing your process and your journey. I don't think it's too soon to start, building that interaction with people. Mm-hmm. People love talking about those different stages and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like chicken soup for the writer's soul, because we get like these newsletters with people going through the experiences. Like, I've been there. Very relatable.
Yeah. Well, and especially if you're gonna do like what Amy suggested, where you put it on your website, like so they can still access it and see your journey along the way. So like if they, like 6 months from now, if they're a new sign up, they can still see what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like, it has a lot of additional benefits too. Like Dana, you mentioned that you might put a blog post or something like that up on your website and then mention it in your newsletter. Mm-hmm. If you were to convert your newsletter to a post, and you still had that mention and that link in there, that's an internal link for your website. That's just another way for users and robots that are indexing your site to move around. Like that's a good thing to have, is just extra internal links moving around. It helps keep people on your site and lower your bounce rate. Right. Little examples like that you don't have to worry about being too redundant. And I know a lot of people are concerned about that, like, okay, well, I've been working on this project for 6 months. If I post these newsletters, that's 6 times that I'm talking about this same thing on my website. Yes, if you've been working on it for 6 months, your audience knows about it. They're familiar with it. If they're going to be searching for it, why not send them to your website to look at it? And in the meantime, you get to just do some basic SEO stuff like internal links on your website. I mean, it's all win-win-win to me.
Right.
So Sia is asking if we ever have to worry about copyright in regards to images used in newsletters, like with blogs. Everything I use is copyright free, so I haven't had to worry about that. And usually the copyright police aren't subscribed to my newsletter anyway, so.
I would suggest just using copyright free images. Yeah. So that you don't have to deal with any type of headache, especially if you're going to be sharing it in other places,
Yeah. So like the nice thing about Canva is pretty much anything that's on Canva, you don't have to worry about copyright stuff. And normally, with the exception of the book covers of my current reads, I always credit wherever I'm getting the stuff from. So
I like using Pixabay.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
Pixabay, isn't it? Or is it BY? Yeah. Anyway. I like the stuff that they have there, and it's generally speaking, sometimes there will be a picture or whatever where they want to be credited, but most of the time it's not.
No. Would you go back and add in old newsletters to your site, or just start with the new? I've actually debated just doing like an archive. That's what I've been thinking about doing. But what do you guys think?
Amy?
It depends on how long you've been doing your newsletter. If you've been doing your newsletter for 4 years and you're about to upload 48 blog posts, you might want to brace yourself. You might want to try loading like 1 year set of 12 or condensing it down to like one blog post that's 12 pages so that you can get the whole year. Like, I do not suggest deciding one day that you want to upload 48 posts at one time.
Mhm.
So, not that you can't, but maybe find a significant date to you or your book or your business and start there. You know, I might have started my newsletter 3 years ago, but about a year and a half ago, I started actually talking about these services that I offer.
Mhm.
I'm still doing those services, so that's a natural point to start the newsletters there. If you can find something that's significant to you, your brand, you talk about it a lot, you represent it on your website in a couple different places, that's the best way to guesstimate the time. How far back you should go is not by numbers. Go by what you're making significant and you're talking about a lot on the website itself.
Mhm. So there you go. Haley's got another question, which is having a website essential to having a newsletter? I would say that you need both, because you can use the website to have the landing page for your newsletter, and having a website is going to be the central focus of where people can find you, what you're doing, and all that other stuff. But that's a personal opinion. What do you guys think?
I think absolutely. I think that I don't trust newsletters that aren't attached to a website, only because I go to the website to see what you talk about, how you're presenting information, what kind of information are you actually presenting versus, you know, is it work stuff, services, or is this more of a personal blog talking about your experience, but not necessarily offering a lot of resources? If I can't get a feel for you enough to be invested in you, then I won't sign up for your newsletter. And that's Amy, not Amy SEO. Amy SEO says, yes, your website functions as the home base for your online entity. And if your newsletter is going to be part of your platform, you're going to want it on your home base. And so you need a website.
This sounds suspiciously like a conversation you had with me 2 weeks ago.
I know not the fuckery of which you speak.
Oh my goodness. What about you guys?
I think that it's important to have a website. And like I've already said, I don't have my newsletter information on my website, so I don't know if I really have like the I don't think it's that important to have the newsletter stuff on the website, but I think that it is important to have a website and to have a newsletter.
Right. I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know about having a newsletter without a website because my website I got my website and my newsletter at the same time. So I don't know if I would still have the same readers if I didn't have it connected with my website. So I'm not sure.
Typically, I don't look at someone's website before I sign up for a newsletter, though. So maybe that's why my perspective is different.
Yeah, usually when I have my landing page is something that I share in a lot of different platforms, so Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I've got it on the website just in case somebody comes and pokes around. They're like, "Well, I seem to like this Caro person. They have a newsletter." No. So I have it on there for that. But that's just what I do. We have another question that this makes for a fun conversation with. If you could only give one piece of writing advice about someone's first newsletter, what would it be?
This makes me want to look at my first newsletter. So give me a second.
As an SEO, one of the things that it's just a good habit whenever you're writing content to get in the habit of having like properly labeled pictures, properly labeled links. Do not say click here, people. Stop doing that.
Talking to me.
Yeah, do not make the click here link say click here. Don't do that. you still want to have titles and headings like H1 headings, H2 headings, and stuff like that in your emails. It's good just to be in the habit of presenting your information that way, even if you're not going to eventually post it on your website. It's just...
Wait, why not have the click here thing?
Because that's a really popular spam tactic. And so Google actually takes the time to look at the words that you chose to represent this link and compare it to the link, so that Google can get a gauge of how spammy are you being. Is this entire paragraph about, poetry devoted to the moon, and then you say click here, but the click here link actually takes you to buying dog collars? Like, they look at that. So if you have a link and it's still valid, try to incorporate the name of whatever that is. Is it a blog post? Can you actually use the name of the blog post as your hyperlink instead? Like, Google does look at your links, and not that it penalizes you for click here, but it definitely positively rewards you for, okay, this person went to, how to Photoshop a green screen when you're FaceTiming, and the link actually says how to Photoshop a green screen when you're FaceTiming. They do take note of that. So just stop saying click here and use a phrase that is as clear and accurate and the same as whatever you're linking to as you can.
So how to not have my newsletter go into the spam folder. Got it.
It definitely helps, yes.
I would say be yourself. Like earlier I said, hey, write this intro paragraph in your voice. I would just make sure that your voice is present throughout the entire newsletter. Don't be afraid to write it. I know like that first newsletter is a lot of us going like, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at my first newsletter, and it is from, what is this from? 2016. And it does not sound like me at all.
Does it sound like you trying to be professional?
It's October and fall is fully in the air. Even over here in the tropics, the air is getting a little cooler. As the seasons start to change, there's one thing that really starts happening around this time. National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo Prep.
So formal.
Yeah,
so
it's very formal. Did not
how
sound
would you
like
write that today? Like if you had to rewrite that now?
Nano's coming, y'all.
Yeah.
What? Nano's
coming, y'all.
It'd start with Aloha, because I start with Aloha with all of them, and I'd probably say something like, "It's my favorite time of year." It's NaNoWriMo time. I can't wait. Are you excited? I know I am. Blah 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 blah. Something along those lines. I guess I felt like I needed to sound like a professional writer. I am a writer. Look at me. But that's not necessary. But, so don't be afraid to try it and recognize that you're going to change and grow and get more comfortable with what you're doing. It's okay.
Yeah.
Every first attempt is just an attempt.
Mm-hmm. So, Dana, go.
I don't think I have anything to add to it. My first newsletter was all thumbs and knees and elbows. So yes, make sure it has your voice, and make sure that your buttons don't say, like on my first newsletter that I sent out, all of my buttons say button, because I didn't realize that you could actually change what the button said until later. Yeah, because it was a learning experience for me. It was all new. But yeah, just make it sound like it's you. Don't try to be who you're not, because you're not going to consistently be that fake person.
Mm-hmm.
And your readers want to know who you are, not who you want to pretend to be. Nothing against you, because you're a professional journalist, Tamara.
Huh? Wait, I didn't even hear what you said. Sorry. What was it?
You were saying how you sounded, your very first one, you sounded like you were trying to be like super professional, and now you're like Aloha. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, stick with Aloha, because that's totally who you are. That's my advice. Just stick with who you really are, and not like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Haley wants to know if we can do another one where we talk about websites. I think what I'm going to do, Haley, is I'm actually probably going to reach out to Lisa Daly because her Market Wednesday thing is coming up soon. And I'll ask if she wants to do a website special on that one because I know she's got a lot of info on that. So that's what I'm probably going to do for that.
And her streams are on Wednesdays at what time?
11 Eastern.
11 Eastern.
11 Eastern, yeah.
Thank you. Once I made the spreadsheet, I stopped tracking everybody's time. That's my fault.
Ma'am, you go to that one, though.
I know my time. I know I have to immediately run from the treadmill into this office. That's how I track it.
True. I'm like, yeah, it happens 5 a.m. my time. Never seen that.
So Sarah's saying, Kara, making you workshop your old newsletter. And then Sky saying that that's a fun exercise. If you guys want to do that, that's on you. I don't have extra credit, but you get like some brownie points from me. Amy, Shannon has a question for you. She wants to know if buy now is the same as click here.
No, they definitely look at it differently when they're aware that you're trying to sell something. You know, if they can go through your content and see that you are selling something, you're talking about features, you know, prices, return policies. If they can see based on your content that you are selling something and your button says buy now, they're not going to hold that against you. They're not even going to question it the same way that they would click here. No.
This has been informative. I appreciate this. Like, seriously, because I had no idea.
Well, I'm glad that we all had the time. Oh, this is how I would start off November. Yo, it's now time, y'all. If anybody knows me and you talk to me like in a text space at some point, it's like this, yo. That's what I do.
See that.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a question for us? Because it's getting to the 2-hour mark, and that's normally when I like to cut it. So feel free to ask anything. There are no wrong questions here. I mean, there probably is. I don't know what it is. I'll find out if you share it.
You know,
Nah, there's no wrong questions. There's probably some wrong answers.
Go on, Dana. Don't let us stop you.
Yeah. Well, no, I've been looking through while we've been discussing this. I've been looking through my my newsletters, and I'm like, how important is it? Like, my newsletter has like a backdrop, and it's got all this like really cool graphics to it, but I don't like them anymore. Like, as I guess, do you guys keep like your backgrounds and stuff?
Could you share one with us so we can all see what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Why do that? I can answer Haley's question. What about swearing in newsletters? I actually don't swear in my newsletters, oddly enough.
I think that it really depends on your brand. Like Jen Mann, she's the author of People I Want to Punch in the Throat. And like, so she swears, right? Mm-hmm. So she swears in her social media. She swears in her books. So it makes sense for there to be an F-bomb in her newsletter. Mm-hmm. Whereas I swear like a sailor when I'm offline, but generally speaking, if you catch me swearing like on a video, for instance, then it's like, it's an accident. But most of the time I try to keep it pretty clean. So I think that just really depends on your brand and what you present to people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I don't think I've sworn in any of them. Like, I'm sitting here like going through my mental catalog, like no, maybe, no.
So,
right,
so see the background, how it's got the bars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like you can. I just found this out. You can totally change that. Would that throw off a reader if suddenly, like, I changed the background from those bars to like, I don't know, my book cover? Or
I think the only people who are going to get like thrown off are the people who are very strict with stuff happening at a routine manner at a certain time of day every Monday of the, every first Monday. It's probably going to be like a thing for those kind of individuals. But like for me, I honestly would not even notice.
Yeah, I don't think I would notice either.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that
like,
background is also there to fill in the space behind your content. That's why it's changeable. So
Uh-huh.
for like phones, most people on phones are probably not going to see that at all. Maybe some people on tablets, probably not. Only people on computers and laptops whose screen is much bigger than your content area right there are even going to see that at all.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm like, now that we're actually sitting down and we're talking about this, I'm like, I want to change so much because some change
That's part
needs
of
to be
the
done.
My work here is done.
Okay. I'm glad that, because I was thinking like on the background of like your newsletter proper, because like on the perimeters of mine, it's just white.
Right.
Mhm.
So I wasn't visualizing the correct thing. So thank you for
Well,
sharing
that's
it.
like because when we were showing yours, like I was like, oh, I don't have those buttons. Like you have the buttons with your social media links. I don't have those on there. So then I started looking at mine and I was like, this is
Missed opportunity, sis.
Mhm.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna have to change mine because I didn't realize that. I mean I realized it, but I didn't think about how not having like all the second column stuff down at the bottom probably makes it look really clunky on the phone. So
I'm
Thank
like, I didn't think about this one. It's not that I checked out. I was just like, oh, so that's what yours looks like behind the screens. I guess I need to go see what mine looks like too. And how can we make this better together?
no,
Sky-
that's great.
Sky's got a question, and I think that'll be our last question. And as soon as it comes through on StreamYard, I will share it. Okay, so her question is, what does everybody use for newsletters? So I use Privy. I just showed it to you guys. The downside to Privy, though, is that it is a subscription base for the newsletter function. There are free options like MailChimp, which I think Tamara and Dana use, right?
I use MailChimp. But MailChimp, you have to start paying, I think, after 2,000 subscribers, which I ain't there yet, so I'm good on that.
Yeah, they were like, you have to pay at 2,000. I was like, that day will probably never come, so it's free for life.
That's how I looked at it. I mean, everybody that I talked to said that MailChimp is reliable, so I was like, I'll just stick with them, and then if by chance I get to 2,000 newsletter subscribers, I'll pay for it.
Reassess, reevaluate.
Yeah, because I've heard oh shoot, what's the name of the one that starts with an A? AbWeber? Is that it?
I've heard about that. Dana, share your newsletter link. Go.
My newsletter link?
Yeah, put it in the
Holy
chat.
cow.
I demand it. Yes,
Okay.
She was like, what? Huh? Who?
Just
Where?
give me a second.
So there's MailChimp, there's MailerLite. And I don't know anything about MailerLite, but if Jeannie's using it, it has to be reliable. There's like a lot of different options. Hold on.
There really are a lot of different options.
Yeah. Like, let's see, newsletter.
I'm like, I don't know if I have a link for my newsletter. It's just right there. You gotta.
Yeah, I don't want ads. I just want to know the tools. Thank you, friend. Let's see.
You don't have a link for your newsletter in your description of your videos?
No, like it's just on the front page of my website. Like you go to my website and it's down at the bottom of my homepage. Am I doing it wrong?
So there's
you need a link.
Yeah.
Because that way you can have it in your newsletter, or you can have your newsletter link in your description of your video. And you can that could be one of the things that you do for your social media setup. You know, you can share your sign up every so often so people can click on it and go to it.
Oh, would it be my contact link?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? Afterwards, maybe you guys can help me figure that out.
We'll figure it out together.
Yeah, we'll figure it out together.
Oh,
And then once we do figure it out, she's going to add it to the description in her videos, and then you guys will be able to find it.
Yes. Totally, we'll do that.
That's right. Because I'm going to learn something new.
Yeah. So AdWeber's a thing. Mailify, Benchmark. cover. Yeah, so there's tons of them out there. You can use whichever ones in here. Like, I think I'll just put this link in the chat for you guys, so you can go check it out and see if you want to use it or not. I can't endorse any of these because mine's not even on here.
What is the matter?
I would suggest doing research because each one of these are going to have different they're going to have different pricing. They're going to have different things that you can utilize. Some will allow you to be more image based. Some will allow you to have like the video insert into the newsletter so people just automatically click on it. Others you can't do that, and you just have to have a link, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. Research is your friend. So research is your friend. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and end on that. I will include everybody's newsletter links down below so you can sign up for all these wonderful people if you're not already signed up. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, that was great. That we had a great time. We all learned something. I hope. I definitely learned something with Amy here, basically going, don't use that anymore. Stop it.
Don't say click here, because I started putting click here because I would not do that and people wouldn't click. And they'd be like, I didn't know I needed to click there. And I'm like, what? Wait.
Come back, Dana.
Well, Dana, it was good to see you.
Amy, what did you do?
I don't know. I've been holding the gremlins back this whole damn time. And then we get to the end. My concentration is faltering.
They took one of our own. It's so sad. What will we do? Carry on the torch. Amy, do your outro.
I am Amy Awesome Buddy. I do not have a website or a newsletter. I do have a Twitter. Thanks to Caro's insistence. Yeah, I did admin stuff and answered some SEO questions. I hope I was helpful, and I'm available for more questions in the future.
Yep.
And my name is Tamara Woods. I shared the link for my newsletter in the comments, and I also shared the link for the Naked Fireflies podcast where she interviewed me. So I hope you guys will check it out because I'm really excited. Hopefully I sound semi-intelligent, like I kind of know what I'm talking about. Just to remind you, this Thursday I have my live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern over on my channel where we will be doing writing sprints. There's going to be a couple of videos that come out this week. We'll also be releasing the podcast either Friday or Saturday, just depending. Is there anything else? Oh, I am going to be doing some type of thing with Books and Quills magazine within like the next 5 or 6 days. So be on the lookout for that.
Dana, welcome back. Would you like to do your outro now?
I was just working on it.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes.
Oh, love it.
All right, did you say it was my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
Okay, all right. Hi, my name is Dana Gollin. This is Oink, the Disconnector. And you can find me and Oink over on my YouTube channel or at my website, danagollinwrites.com. And yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, my name is Kara Brown. I am an urban fantasy author. Thank you so much for coming to my little pop-up thing where we talked about newsletters and worked on them a little bit. I hope that this was useful for you. I will leave it up in the future in case you need to go and watch the replay for whatever reason. In the future, when I do the newsletter pop-up, I'm going to keep it less educational and more like focused on actually getting the newsletter done. It was just, I had gotten the survey results back. I wanted to share that info with you and have a discussion about it. Bam, bam, boom, we're here. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast for today. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.